X-Men 97, Episode 7, Bastion enters the game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Impact Cartoons. I'll be flying solo today for this review of X-Men 97. This was a big one. This one would set up the rest of the season for the three-part finale we have coming up over episodes 8, 9, and 10. And we got to see a little bit more about who was behind Genosha. So let's jump right into it. Scene 1, we go to Gambit's funeral. Now we have Nightcrawler performing the funeral. We see all of the team members, the exception of Storm, who we know is away, Professor X, who we know is off planet, and Rogue, which was the big surprise. And once you saw that, you kind of knew she probably couldn't deal with it. So we jump to Rogue flying through the desert and absolutely smashing and demolishing this military base run by General Thunderbolt Ross. We find out that she's on a bit of a mission, and what she's looking for, who she's looking for, I should say, is Bolivar Trask, because everyone is under the assumption that Trask was the one who was responsible for the attack, the Sentinel attack on Genosha. We would later come to find out that that was not the case. Fast forward a little bit, we find Rogue, I believe, in the north. I think it was Canada. I don't remember exactly, but running to Captain America, he has a little bit of a conversation with Rogue, and they go forward down into a secret base there at this location where she believed Trask would be, and this is where we find out that this place was run by a group named OZT. And OZT, for those of you who don't know, stands for Operation Zero Tolerance. And I'm not sure if they're going to have it be the Office of Zero Tolerance. I'm not sure which one that is going to go with. But what that is a group of basically mutant-hating folks who are really clever and subtle when it comes to basically destroying mutants and really kind of taking things over, a bit different from the Friends of Humanity, which are a bit more militant and up front, a little more loud. These OZTs a bit more subtle in what they do, and so what we come to find out later on is that what we may find out later on, I believe, is that Bastion runs OZT. Now, I don't feel they really got into it too much in this episode, but if you've read the books, you kind of know that OZT, Bastion, Operation Wide Awake, all comes together in this nefarious plan here where Bastion, being from the future, and I'll explain to you who Bastion is in a second, for those who don't know, Bastion, being from the future, has taken the time to slowly put pieces in place to take over the government, take over. So it takes some really high-level spots in the government, get some high-level allies, and really basically put things in place to really kind of destroy the X-Men and mutants as a whole. Now, when it comes to who Bastion is, Bastion is a combination of Nimrod. We saw Nimrod in the original series, and obviously and Master Mold, who we obviously saw in the earlier series and in this one. So with that melding, they become this high tech humanoid looking Sentinel. And one of the things that we saw on this show was that uh, Bastion's big plan is to turn everyone into a similar Sentinel as himself with these nanites. So basically, Operation Wide Awake or and then Zero Tolerance, their whole mission is to make sure that everyone on the planet becomes what's called a Prime Sentinel. Is what they become once they are infected by these nanites. Now we have Bastion being played by Theo James. We've seen Theo James in a bunch of movies, and recently he was the lead in The Gentleman on Netflix, which is, if you haven't seen, it's a pretty good show. Check that out. And Bastion, we find out, is working with Sinister, with Mr. Sinister, and they basically played everyone. They played Gyrick, they played Bolivar Trask. They actually scapegoated Bolivar Trask into making him the fall guy for this mutant massacre. They brought in Gyrick and ended up killing him off because he knew too much. Which is, again, this is just so much amazing writing we have going on here. Is a pretty good storytelling. The part of the show where this episode where we get to Rogue confronting Trask, and this was a little bit surprise to me, where he goes to jump off of the building, to off himself, and because he's feeling guilty, and he's saying, they blame me for being this monster, and I haven't done anything. But he hasn't done much. He's done plenty bad things, but this actually wasn't his fault. And Rogue catches him. Rogue holds him up and gives him a speech, the usual superhero X-Men speech, like, the right thing to do would basically be to, help them clear your name and make amends. When he says he doesn't know anything, Rogue proceeds to make that turn that I think we're going to see happen to maybe a few more X-Men, specifically Cyclops. And she lets him go off the building, drops him, and boom, no more Trask. Or at least it seems, until you get another one of those kind of flashing quick scenes, similar to the Genosha episode, where you just see a fist come out of nowhere and pops Rogue, destroys the building's falling apart, everything goes to hell at that point. So this, I won't for those who may have seen the episodes yet, I won't spoil all of it for you. Spoiler alert. Late spoiler alert. But we got to see so much as far as storytelling, so much as far as setting up for the next few episodes, that it's got me really looking forward to seeing what happens next. Now, a couple of things here. And in the rumor mill, there's a rumor coming up that I'm really excited about that I'll address here in a second. But we do see the return of Cable here as this Prime Sentinel version of Trask comes back and starts just dismantling the X-Men by himself. and making you wonder, if this whole team of X-Men can't handle one Prime Sentinel. We saw as they came through the building that there was a whole lab full of Prime Sentinels, which has me thinking that this could end up being something, if it's played out, that could have some long lasting repercussions. So jumping to the very end of the show, one of the things we see is that Bastion has Magneto. So Magneto is alive, as I mentioned. I think it was in the last video we did. Professor X didn't see Magneto when he had that flash of Gambit dying. So now we see that Magneto is alive with the collar on, the mutant dampening power collar on, and in the clutches of Bastion. And Bastion is coming off very sadistic, even more sadistic than Sinister, which is saying something. So we have Bastion toying with Magneto, actually giving him a little shave, and kind of really leaning into this whole psychopath thing. Now, one of the things you want to keep in mind about Bastion is he was actually radicalized in the books. I'm not sure how they're going to play it out in the show, but in the books, he was radicalized by watching fake news, believe it or not. And this is before the term really became a thing. But back then, what happened was OZT, they were putting out this fake news broadcast, and it really just kind of doing anything they could do to make mutants look bad. So even if it was something minor, they blew it up. If they had a lie, twist the stories, they did that to make mutants look bad. And Bastion, being this kind of like a newborn, really, was just inundated with all this negative news about mutants, and ended up hating mutants and being this person whose sole mission is to really destroy mutants. But we did see that Magneto is still alive and Professor X is still alive. And one of the rumors, the big rumor that I heard, and I'm going to look some more into, and then part of me is, fingers crossed that they actually do deliver on this, is that the reason why they're keeping these both these men alive is because they're looking to steer us towards Onslaught. And if you are a Marvel fan from the 90s like I am, and you are familiar with the character of Onslaught, you know that our friends who are casual fans, or maybe huge fans just getting into it, they may not be ready for Onslaught. Because the Onslaught saga was for me, it was the story arc of the 90s. It was the between that and Age of Apocalypse, those were the two best ones. I'm giving Onslaught the nod for being a bit better because of how it encompassed all the other non-mutant characters as well. But if we do go the route of getting Onslaught, I'm 100% here for it. So other than that, listen, thank you guys for joining. We're going to keep this one a little shorter than usual as I'm flying solo today. Again, as always, please like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you for next week for the first part of the 3-part finale. See you guys next time.